BoobTube! Today we're talking about the RX-8 motor stuff that you really need to worry about when you tear down one of these motors, what you can find, so on and so forth. So, obviously, you want to look at your bearings, make sure that, everything looks tip-top shape. This bearing looks pretty good. The rear bearing does not look as good, but I'm still reusing it because I don't care. Since this is an auto, yes, it's an auto, so I know. You can go ahead and yell at me about it. The ports typically are clogged up with carbon. I've done clean this one out. I have also taken the Dremel to it and cleaned, there's steps there from the factory. So when you take yours apart, you want to clean those steps out, and it shouldn't, keyword shouldn't, catch as much carbon there. This is all based off of me scouring the internet and my basic knowledge of, rotaries from what I have learned building this thing, and then also my first gen that I had. So that's one of the things that you want to look for. You also want to watch out for step wear. If you listen, that's step wear. That's where the corner seal rides on the iron here. As long as that's not real bad, usually you don't want to be able to feel it, but since I'm reusing housings and all the rotor parts and everything are getting reused, I'm not too worried about this. This is also the side where the housing is pretty destroyed, so if something goes wrong with that housing and I lose this iron, I'm not too tore up about it. But usually you only lose the housing when stuff happens. You also want to check and make sure that you don't have any cracks around any of your intake or exhaust ports, since there's so much more heat in the iron versus RX-7s due to the exhaust being in the iron instead of the housing, which, as you can see, there doesn't seem to be any visible cracks. This still needs to be cleaned up right here before I put the housings back together. So that's one of the things you gotta look for. Another one of the big things is checking your apex seals. So your apex seals are, or at least RX-8s, are supposed to be between, they come factory at 5 or 5.5 millimeters, but the minimum size is 4.3 millimeters. And so what you do is you measure this side of the apex seal from the bottom to the top, and then this side from the bottom to the top, and you look at those, and if either side is below 4.3 millimeters tall, then this apex seal is junk. But since I'm balling on a budget, we're just going to reuse these and hope for the best and see how far they go, because there's not really any good information out there about reusing, undersized apex seals, other than Mazda says not to, which I assume means that when they get to this small, they poke up out of the rotor far enough to where they can snap the tip, like the top edge off of them, because the material is less here than it should be. Also, this housing has chrome flake. You can run chrome flake in certain parts. Since this is technically on the exhaust side, intake exhaust side, I'm not too worried about it. So I'm going to run it and see how this affects this. This will come off. I've actually scraped most of this off, but that's where if you look at it real close, you can actually see where the chrome, which is what they call chrome flake, has come up off of the aluminum portion of the housing. So going to try all that. You also want to verify that you're getting your rotors real nice and clean. They don't have to be perfectly clean. Like, this is a lot cleaner than you would think. This is a lot of staining and just age on the rotor. I could spend 14 days cleaning these up and getting them to look like they're from the factory again, but that's just, to me, a waste of time. These will work just fine as long as all of your seals, your seal grooves and everything are nice and clean and everything. When you do, oh, by the way, this is something that I designed and 3D printed, so keep an eye out. This might be available soon. Helps keep you organized with all your rotor stuff. there's not really a good one on the market, so I figured I would design one and print one for myself, and then if other people are interested, I would print one and sell them to people. But you got to stay really organized when you reuse stuff, because everything has to go back where it came from. So what I do is 1, 2, 3, and I mark the 1, and everything goes clockwise from there. So this is 1, 2, 3, gear side, gear side. This is actually the rear rotor, hence why I put an R on it. So, for example, I put a dimple somewhere that doesn't matter. That's how I know that this is number 1. So then this, since this is gear side, 1, 2, 3 corner seal, 1, 2, 3 side seal, and then the apex seals. So this is 1, and it goes in that side seal spot, or corner seal spot. That's how I do mine. I mean, there's hundreds of other ways to do it. Let's see. You also want to check all of your oil passages. Make sure that you can like blow air through them. These you can actually unscrew. I've never taken them out because that's not really something that you really should have to worry about. Make sure that all your where your rotors ride is nice and smooth, and you don't have anything that you can feel with your fingernail. That's all Gucci. But anyways, just wanted to give y'all a simple update, walkthrough of my kind of thought process. Also, I'm wanting to learn, since I don't have very much money in this, see how far you can actually take used parts before they become a problem. As far as I'm aware, everything that I've checked, everything checks out except for those apex seals. So we're gonna get an actual worst case scenario testing on apex seals with chrome flake, and they're undersized and they're really wore out. But that's it for now. Been testing that thing. It's going good. New fan runs great. Transmission is a part that's going to get built soon. I still have to order a new torque converter for it, which is even more money. So eventually there's going to be a lot of truck upgrades to do and a lot of videos to do on it. But that's neither here nor there. If you have any other questions about anything that I didn't really talk about or I glossed over in this, you can leave a comment down below, and I will be sure to answer it. So until next time, guys, deuces.